Alrighty, I'll make this one a damn eBigger exclusive. As you may have heard, the whole sewing thing's died in the arse. It's just, you know, talking to me sister about investing in cheap property, some of which is up where she is. It's very cheap. They got a block of land for $3,000. I've seen another one there, which, you know, you'll inevitably see on my main channel, that $5,000 for a block of land, you know. And I'll say there'd be another cheap one coming up soon, because there was some old guy who moved out to her town for the cheap housing. Him and his dog. And they're fucking... he's there for about 3 or 4 months in the fucking house, which is a brick house. Surprise, surprise. Most of these things are weatherboard shitholes. You know, where the boards are old wooden planks on the side. And usually, some of these older ones are a bit like mine. You got the wooden palings on the inside, which is like a really thin wood on the inside. It wouldn't even be 3/8 of an inch. Some of it, honestly, you'd be about 2/8 of, well, quarter inch. Yeah, I think that'd be about right for some of these wood palings on the inside. That's the really old stuff. That's 100-year-old plus, like what I'm living in. But this guy, he actually had a brick one. Well, the fucking thing burned down with him inside it. And my sister, as some of the locals did after it was all over, they went and had a little walk past, and no doubt some of the more trailer trash of the community probably walked right through it, because that's what they do. But there was nothing. Bloody nothing. They reckon every single... She said, I've never seen a house so entirely burnt in all my life. Every single bit of wood in the place was gone. Every single bit. It was just burnt to ash. The only thing that's left is like a bunch of, you know, dinner plates and stuff like that. And, you know... a couple of other hard things that, are things that you can't burn. So that'll obviously, indefinitely, once his estate goes through, be going up for sale. But of course there'll be a demolition order on the remaining bricks. But, you know, really, like, it's a stupid idea just going and buying a block of land, because it just, you know... What are you going to do with it, you know? You've got to put a house on it before you can rent it. So anyway, I've been looking at several places. One of them is, in fact, an old school. And, like, fucking hell. It is considered residential, but there's a couple of technicalities. You need an occupancy certificate. Someone's been living in it. In fact, they've gone and more or less put a new kitchen in. I'm not saying necessarily. They've got the veranda and it's closed off as another room. And they've gone and put this double sink in there, and they've got a, wow, washing machine and dishwasher and all that. It's sort of like a laundry kitchen combination. But on the other side of where they've got all the washing machines and the sink and all that, on the opposite side, they've got a brand new... and it looks really good too, like a bench top with all the new cabinets. The real new style you get, where it's sort of like that, reminds me of those bathtubs that they, you know, stone look-alike, but it's actually like a heavy plastic. It's sort of made like that. It's brand new, and you know, I think the brother-in-law could probably help with the whole what's-his-name situation, with the old room situation. I think there's 2 main rooms. There's blackboards there. crazily enough, friggin' blackboards are just above the open fire. I don't like that idea. But the long and short of it is, that I think there's two main schoolrooms, and they're so big that realistically you'd want to cut them in two, and you'd be able to turn it into a 3 or 4 bedroom house as a result. Probably have a smaller lounge, because the lounge is one and the bedroom's another, but they're fucking massive, and it's just beyond the joke, you know. So I reckon you could have slightly larger lounge, one small bedroom, and then 2 others where the main bedroom is. So you go from a school to a 3-bedroom house, right there, with slapping in 2 walls, you know. From memory, timber's about $2 a metre. You know, what's plasterboard? I should know because I bought some for my house. It's not too bad. I think it's 1.2 by 2.4 metre sheets, about 10 or 11 bucks. You know, wouldn't be a great deal of cash to go, and I've got a mountain of screws still from when I've done my last clients. When I was fixing my house up, you don't be a dickhead and you buy them in packs of 50. What you do, you go buy 1,000 packs. And you're dealing with some, you know, some of the main things like your frame and nails or whatever like that, you buy them in packs of 5,000, you know, and this is the thing. You're not always down the hardware store. You can go in there and it feels like you got your hand in an endless bucket of frickin' screws or nails, you know, you just keep going. And they're cheap, dramatically cheaper when you buy them in bulk. Shockingly cheaper, actually. They will be less than half price of buying them in a 50-pack. But, you know, that wouldn't take much to deal with that. But this thing, where it's this website, it's got a little thing where they can like it on Facebook. Well, another 17 other people liked it. The beauty of this place is the price tag they got on it and the potential. You know, a lot of blocks are quarter-acre blocks, which are about 1,000 square metres. This thing is 5,900 square metres, and you know why? It's a bloody football field included, and that's why. The football field's all on the same block. You look at it from Google Earth, and you look at it all the other ones, it's like, holy shit, this is big. You could easily chop another 3 blocks off, maybe even another 4. Because 3 sides of it are facing a road. So everyone's got a place to put their driveway, and I really think, you know, I was thinking you could cut off 3 blocks. I reckon you could cut off 4 blocks and sell them off. Now, the average price of a quarter-acre block there is, well, they're selling one that's on the street that the football field's on. They're selling one for $11,500. Now, even if you only get 10,000. You know, that's $40,000 worth of subdivided blocks. And I know there's a lot of fees and a lot of paperwork and a lot of bullshit, but all in all, you know, the damn thing would just about bloody buy itself once you subdivided those blocks. Minus maybe, you know, $15,000, $20,000. You know, and let's say I'm going to have that and probably more than that to invest initially without a problem anyway. Yeah. Just think, entering the market for about $20,000, $25,000, entering the bloody property investment market. You couldn't make this shit up. There's another one, though, that's looking fairly interesting. I'm going to go and have to check it out. She's got foundation issues, and that's what's really shitting me, because I don't want to rip the entire fucking floor up. Now, that one on this little Facebook-like thing has got 0 likes. So, I think everyone's scared shitless by the foundation issues. You got to actually go there to have a look at these things. But I know a few tricks of the trade, because my house has got shit foundations, and to be honest, the brother-in-law's house, we fixed up the damn foundations. So I know exactly how it's done with a bunch of car jacks and stuff like that. And if indeed it is done, if indeed it is on sandy ground, you're saved as soon as it's on sandy ground. When you're at a place like mine where it's clay soil, the fucking game's over. This place where it's in, the entire region, I think, is just about straight sand. It's an area that's, it's not desert, but it's not great either. It's a low rainfall area, and it is very sandy looking, and I got a feeling that it is sand, and if that's the case, you know, the stumps aren't going to be moving due to the weather with sand. There's another thing here with these plastic water tanks that we get, because we're, you know, in Australia, you're right into rainwater tanks. If you have a plastic water tank and you sit it on the ground, as I have, you're required to put like 9 inches or so worth of sand or gravel. And of course I've got shitty grade of gravel, which is mainly a lot of it's rock crusher dust mixed in with bits of gravel. And so that's a cheaper option that I was offered by the quarry, and we had that poured out. I think I got that one from the quarry. And yeah, then I sort of screwed it out the size of the tank, and then I just got in the old shitbox blowing green Nissan that you guys might remember if you've watched for a couple of years, and forward reverse a million times and flattened it all out. But when you're on sand, you just get the tank and you just drop it straight on the sand, and it's not a problem because there's no ground movement. You know, and this is the beauty of being on sandy soil, and this whole region that it's in, I believe, is sandy soil. They got a lot of trouble there with even getting the bloody lawns to grow sometimes, and I think it may be lack of watering, because they've also had water restrictions in these areas and stuff like that. Having said that, these stumps that are buggered in it, like, you'd have to go there and see if all the doors closed. And if all the doors closed, you're probably saved. And there's one photo where you can sort of tell, because the veranda is 9 inches down on one side of the house from the other. Now, this is not a small house like mine. This is a 3-bedroom house, and quite honestly, it's either got a fairly tall roof or it's a fucking big house, because it sort of looks, it looks fairly substantial from the front photo, and it is indeed 3-bedroom. But it just looks like the whole house has dropped 9 inches on one side or something like that. And at the end of the day, you know, if I can walk on the floors, that's another trick you do. You walk on all the floors, and you sort of do a little jump up and down. I don't want to fuck my knee again, but if you go and sort of do a bit of a jump up and down and all the floor bounces, then you know the stumps aren't touching the joists. You know the stumps aren't touching the joists. Now, there's one option that's an easier option, and that is to cut all the floors out and you can get directly to the stumps, but then you've got to replace all the floors. So I'd sort of have to cost that out. I know the way they do it nowadays, and yeah, it's like, they call it yellow tongue flooring. It's basically some sort of a high quality treated chipboard that's got a little plastic groove that notches in from one side to the other. I've dealt with this stuff previously. It's not on the cheaper end of the scale, of course. It's very high density sort of chipboard, and you got to whack in a lot of fucking nails, but that's no issue. But it would be bad to sort of wreck all the flooring in it. But, you know, like I said to the brother-in-law, I don't really give a shit so long as the bastard stands up and we can fucking get tenants in the thing, you know? He's going, oh, well, what are you looking for, this and that, and are you looking for a vertical gain in value? And I said, I don't give a shit about vertical gain in value. I just want the bloody building to stay vertical and the tenants to stay in it, you know? And let's face it, like, my house has got more of a frickin' warp than this thing's got, and mine's about a third the bloody size, you know? And I'm not saying everyone's going to live in conditions like mine, but you go into this joint and it looks fairly good. I mean, the wallpaper's as daggy as all fuck. Nothing a coat of paint couldn't fix. She probably needs new carpets. And if we're going to destroy the floor playing with the stumps, well, it's going to get new carpets. But the main problem that it does have is it's got what looks like a spa or a jacuzzi, and I started reading, like a hot tub with it's about a 6 jet or something like that, might be an 8 jet. Not terribly big, but then it says it's not even plumbed up, so they've probably got one that's got a fucked pump motor in it, and then just put that in as the bathtub. The plumbing is apparently atrocious. It doesn't matter. I have a relative who is you don't have to be a qualified plumber here, you've got to be a qualified and licensed plumber. Well, he's a qualified and licensed plumber, qualified and licensed gas fitter. She's got a fairly substantial hot water system on it, 315 litre. I mean, the thing's probably freaking nearly 6 foot tall. And but the plumbing's essentially fucked. Well, that's not an issue. You know, he'd go up there for a week and would be all new plumbing. They're asking $54,000. The reality is there's houses in good condition with no foundation issues that have been sold for 54, for fucking 48. There's a little shop around the corner which is very shabby looking, and it has got a few cracks in the bricks, but somebody's made an attempt to live in it. Once again, you know, the school, which I probably didn't mention, they've still got it set as a school, not as a residence. That's what the real estate agent said. Now, if I'm reading into that correctly, that means it doesn't have an occupancy certificate, which the brother-in-law can issue more or less instantaneously. He can just fucking write one up. You know, of course he's got to tour the place and have a look and see that it's not a fucking death trap and blah, 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 and everything sort of meets standards and all that sort of shit. And then he can hand out an occupancy certificate. 15 emails later, they still didn't get a response from the council, so they've got to ringing them and, oh, you know, this and that, and they've pushed the right people, and, well, it's imminent that it's going to be issued, but I can't tour that school until it's been issued. Now, the reason being is that the price is going to be a bit more realistic once they get the certificate, because then you can live in it without any problems at all. Yeah. But this is the thing, you know, like the brother-in-law can get those things sorted for me, but yeah, you've got this other joint, and they want $54,000 for it, and you've got like the shop around the corner. I think it went for 23, and it's a shithole, and someone's been living in it, and of course it's rated as commercial, not as residential, and they wouldn't have an occupancy certificate, and you know, it is fucking crap, but it's brick and it's $23,000, you know, and there's houses there that are like this one I'm looking at, but no stump issues, you know, and they're going for 48 and shit like this. I think there's one might have gone for fucking 38, you know, and there's another one that's bloody perfect with a well-done garden in it, no bare patches or anything, and that's gone for 54. This joint does have some fairly decent sheds out the back. I'm not talking massive, but I'm talking better than you would have thought. For a property inside a town, better than you would have thought. Honestly, one side is sort of the walls pretty fucking bad. I think they've had a weatherboard one and some of them have fell off or something, but you could honestly fix, like you could put cladding on one wall and put a lock on the door, and she'd be a lockable shed. Honestly, it's about one of 3 sheds there. So they might be banking on trying to jack the price up over a bunch of sheds. But I'm going to ask when this thing was sold and go up there and have a look, do the little floor jump to see that the joists are sitting on the stumps, try and open and close every single door to see if they line up. You know, and if it's just the entire building slumped a few inches one way, well, fucking whatever, you know. You know, we go up there, we put new plumbing in, and I put tenants in after I get rid of that god-awful fucking wallpaper by painting over it. Trust me, it is pretty shit looking. You know, it's stuck in the 70s, but so are a lot of these joints. The funny thing is, some of these joints up there have actually got the, just a handful of them, have got those bloody, and I know this is very highly prized in America, and it's, you know, it's a real wonder to even come across it here, like you rarely see it. They've got the pressed tin ceiling, and one of them even had pressed tin walls up to about 3 foot. That's not the sort of walls you'd want some little arsehole kid of a single mum kick into bits. You know, one of these joints I looked at, I was surprised. I thought, frickin' hell, this is a piece of history, you know. It had the most awful green colour down the fucking hallway, but aside from that, it was a piece of history. But, you know, I don't really necessarily need to buy a piece of history. I need to buy something I can put tenants in. You may say, what's the point of a lot of these places? Well, some of the older people, when they retire from the farm, they've had enough of being in the farm. That's not uncommon, actually. Actually, I know personally of a case of one of my uncle's friends who died, and his wife, bingo. You know, within 6 months, they cleaned the place up and they sold it within 6 months of him dying, and now she lives in a near new place in the next town up the road. So there's a bit of potential there. Of course, there's single mums who are, you know, looking for a cheap place to rent, and a place with a primary school. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't have a primary school in the school. It's another few miles up the road, so you're sort of shot in the foot there. But, you know, pensioners and farmers' widows and stuff like that, you know, they sort of go for a bit of this sort of stuff. But yeah, I think the rental market will be thin. I might be sitting on it for 6 months, but, you know, like the fucking property taxes are going to be fuck all, you know. I'll probably be paying, it couldn't be any more than about $700 a year, property taxes, you know. So, that's another thing I'll ask, you know, of the real estate agent, and I might ask another individual real estate agent about that house, like about that town, so I don't get a fucking, you can rent it, when in fact you probably couldn't. So I'll ask one of the other agents, you know, what's the chances of getting a place rented in this particular town? How long do you think I'd wait? And, you know, also ask the neighbour if they know anything, because if there's white ants and termites in the fucker, the neighbour will spew their guts. The neighbour always spews their guts. That's how I found out a few things about my first property, like the fact that I was never going to get the power on the first property that I bought. Not the one I'm living at now, but the other one I bought when I was 26. So anyway, you know, we'll just no rash moves here. That school's looking good, but no rash moves. I think with that school, I might be up with a bit of competition, and I'm not gonna. They're gonna price 55 to 60,000. It'll probably go for bloody 65 or something. If I come in there and said 52, they'd tell me to fuck off, because there'd be another 16 people right behind me, you know. So I'm not going to get that at bottom feeder prices. What I am going to try and do, I've been going through some of these places that have got all the shithole properties, you know, and written down agents that tend to deal with a lot of these joints that are half fucked or fairly old on it, you know, the cheaper ones. So I've actually, I didn't mention this, just yesterday I got me phone changed over. The phone company I was with was sort of had been bought out by another one, and they were going to all close it down, bang, bang, bang. So I went and got myself a new phone contract. I was on prepaid. I've gone to like a postpaid 12-month contract, which is different. Most are 24. 6 gigs of data for $35, and unlimited calls and text and all that. So any calls you got to pay for are international calls. So, and that's the other thing. I've actually got international calls. I'm not sure my last phone would even make international calls, but the reality is that now I can afford to ring as many people as I fucking want because I'm on unlimited calls. So I'm probably going to do the ring around and talk to, oh shit, I got at least 8 different agents on my list, and ask them about anything that may have a demolition order that the brother-in-law can freeze, that may not have occupancy status, like some of these old churches and schools, and you know, stuff that I know he can sort out for me, and buy them, you know, on an undervalued basis, with the knowledge that he can, you know, look at the thing and give me these occupancy certificate, freeze the demolition order, and they get you fairly often, they get you a 7-year extension to fix up the problems, and at which point, you know, he'd go into action as the certified building engineer that he is, and we'd fix what needed to be fixed and modify what needed to be modified. I don't want to get a fucking goddamn shitstorm. I don't want to get one of these financial black holes that it doesn't matter how much you pour in, it's still a shithole, you know. But this is the thing, you know, they say the foundations are good, you're right. Well, the foundations ain't good on this one, but if they ain't too crazy, you know, then we might be able to make a go of these things. The other one that's come up is flat pack houses that are made. I've still got to watch it, but my parents were telling me, I was talking to them on the phone the other day, and they were saying to me there's something that I should have seen on TV, but I don't have the TV on, obviously, and I should go and Google it, called flat pack houses. We've got houses that you can buy new for $30,000. You put them up yourself. They're actually mainly based, you know, on a frame with compressed straw in the damn things. Now, you need a licensed plumber, already got that, and a licensed electrician, need to go get that, and then you got a house that you can move into. Any technicalities or whatever, the brother-in-law will know how to fucking deal with that. And, you know, $30,000 you could put a house in one of these blocks, but yeah, I've got to look at that and see what the go is there and how it's all happening. No doubt they probably look like a fucking one of those Atco huts, one of those fucking, you know, things they use on the construction sites as an office. It probably look like one of those, look like fucking, you know, not stainless steel, sheet metal walls, you know. Probably look as bland as all fuck, but you know, it's an option. It's an option that might be there, and I've got to look into all that. But you ain't going to be getting any 3-bedroom house for $30,000 if you buy a brand new flat pack house. That's for sure. So anyway, we'll keep hanging around, and I've heard, I don't know if it's the case in Australia, but I know in America there's some things that if they don't sell within 6 months, they stop advertising them. So if there's any that aren't advertised, I might be looking at some of that. So I'll make the call. I'll see if they've got anything that sort of fell off the advertising list but is still on the books. Stuff that's been up for sale for fucking 18 months or something. And I might be able to get some real bargains on the basis of that shit. So yeah, we'll see how she all plays out.